Hey everybody, I wanted to share this after school video about the cynical genius. To me, this really applies to dog culture, and I'm starting to notice that it also applies to the anti dog culture, the dog culture critics. So let's have a look at it together and let me know what you think.
And Ben. Andy believes most people are out for themselves and will take advantage of him if they get the chance. Ben thinks most people are kind and gives them the benefit of the doubt. Knowing nothing else about them, which of these two would you guess is smarter, more successful, wiser, and more moral? If you imagine trusting, open hearted Ben is dull, complacent, and ignorant, you're in good company. Our culture often belittles hopeful people, in part because fewer of us feel hope ourselves.
So, have you noticed that in the dog culture? And yes, I noticed they gave this guy a dog. Like every single institute seems to pull the weight of dog culture a little bit. But do you notice this with dog culture? Part of their thinking is, I can't trust a human. I trust my dog more. And it's not even about trust because the dog is controlled by the owner. But people just don't take time to take the risk to be with other people. They're like the guy that you saw on the left side of the screen. They're cynics. Oh, a human will screw me over. I can't trust a human. So they get more dogs, which is actually funny because they make that person the cat person in this video.
In 1984, about half of Americans believed most people can be trusted. By 2018, that had fallen to about a third of Americans. Humanity has lost faith in humanity, and even more in our institutions. Between the 1970s and 2022, the percentage of Americans who trusted the presidency fell from 52 to 23%.
Notice humanity. In the dog culture, people are constantly going out of their way creating a self-fulfilling prophecy. I don't trust humans. I don't trust humans. I trust my dog more. Even though the dog shits all over the floor and costs, so much money over the lifetime, this lack of trust sends people running to dog ownership because they think that they can trust dogs because everyone else in society tells them that, oh yeah, you can get a dog, you can trust him.
Newspapers from 39 to 18%, Congress from 42 to 7%, and public schools from 58 to 28%. We are living through a trust deficit. And percent.
Yeah, trust deficit. So with our society worshiping dogs so much, these institutions that he's showing right here and many other ones, how can they get a quick shot of trust? They can go pretend to be in love with dogs, like all the celebrities with their tax shelter dog rescues, like presidential candidates that are constantly showing themselves as dog lovers, like what Joe Biden did. So this lack of trust with the presence of dogs, it just makes everything accelerate.
And public schools from 58 in each other drops, the future we can imagine darkens. In 1986, 69% of people in a Gallup poll believed the US was headed in a positive direction. In 2024, that number reached as low as 21%. When trust is depressed, cynicism booms. And in the most cynical turn of all,
Yeah, so as we more and more force this ideology down society that you can't trust humans, then humans become more cynical. It's just like feeds into itself. It's everything from health and politics, any topic that you want to talk about is affected by this because we're all downstream of these things.
our culture has glamorized gloom, pointing our suspicion towards anyone who dares look on the bright side.
Yeah, how dare you? How dare you want your kids to play? How dare you want them to have bare feet and not worry about dogs biting them? How dare you? So this is also happening in the anti-dog culture. A lot of our channels are just this, like gloom, gloom, gloom. Aren't you mad about dog attacks? I'm mad too. Come to my channel, pay for subscriptions, get a paid membership, be angry with me. I've noticed this on a channel I follow on YouTube. It's like 5 years ago, it was the same thing. It was this, all of this, but with dog attacks. And that channel will say, don't talk about this, don't talk about that. Just be angry about dogs with me. And I'm not saying that that channel is bad. I'm not saying don't watch that channel. That channel is an important part of what's going on. But this is what's happening to us as dog culture critics too. We're becoming all about doom and gloom. Everybody just wants to talk about what they want to talk about. They're all full of doom and gloom. The channels also talk about, oh, I have to use an artificial intelligent voice or we're going to get people fired. So don't you ever critique artificial intelligent voices on my channel. And that's doom and gloom. And it creates a self-fulfilling prophecy.
We've stereotyped hopeful people as naive, privileged, even toxic. But are we right to do so? In a 2019 study, researchers introduced hundreds of people to characters like Andy and Ben and asked who they would pick for various intellectual and social tasks.
Yeah, intellectual. You'll notice some of the dog culture channels, they act like they're all intellectual, but then they will shut down other types of arguments. Don't you dare talk about communism. Don't you dare talk about antinatalism. Don't you dare talk about artificial intelligence. They take everything personal. They're super cynical. And that's Andy. That's Andy right there. And everybody flocks to Andy. And Ben over here with his outside thinking and stuff, he's made to be like some kind of fool. But actually, this guy right here is the fool, and these guys are the fools.
70% thought cynics like Andy were smarter than trusting people like Ben. 85% believed a cynical person would be socially smart, for instance, better at detecting lies.
Yeah. So Ben's over here, he's talking about, hey, what about this, you guys? Hey, let's think about it this way. And Andy's over here like, no, no, be rigid. Only talk about what I want to talk about. Don't poison the well. Don't do this. And then also Ben will be treated as if he's, breaking this group up or he's not pulling the weight or something, which is actually good. This group does need to be broken up and they do need to expand their thinking.
This is called the cynical genius illusion, and it's just that, an illusion.
Yeah, some of these dog culture channels that I first came to, when they were just flying off the handle about dog attacks, that's back when I was trying to find an outlet to talk about dog attacks, and I thought that person was a genius. I was like, yeah, I freaking hate dogs too. I hate dog attacks. But then it's like 20 videos, 30 videos, 1 year, 2 year. It's the same cynical throw a fit about dog attacks. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't be throwing fits about dog attacks. It's just, it doesn't go anywhere. It creates this group of cynics, and then it creates an outcast of the outside thinkers.
We see the cynical genius illusion all over popular films, like Forrest Gump, where the main character is portrayed as happy, goofy, and carefree, but not so bright. Smarter characters are often portrayed as pessimistic, harsh, critical, and paranoid. This attitude is even more widespread online.
Yeah, paranoid. Like doing all of your content on YouTube with the artificial intelligent voice. That's kind of like paranoia. I'm not saying we shouldn't do that. I'm just pointing out there's a lot of cynicism that is polluting our dog culture critiquing arena.
Take a peek at your social media feed. How much of it presents a negative view of something? We're doomed. It's over. Someone's stupid. This idea is flawed, etc.
Yeah, I mean, dog owners are stupid. Owning dogs is flawed because they kill people. I mean, I do agree with that. But so many of our channels are basically just doing that on repeat, on repeat, on repeat. So, eventually, channels that do that, the people that are sitting at home that feel like they want to do something about this crazy dog culture, they're not going to do anything about it. They're just sitting there waiting for that next loud, boisterous, complaining about dog attacks video. And then they're going to swarm over there and buy memberships and stuff. And at the end of the day, what good does it do? It wraps us up in cynicism so much that we become powerless.
The comments are even worse. Tearing something down is an easy way to place yourself above it and appear superior.
Yeah, I mean, the dog culture critics, that's kind of something that we have to think about too. It's easy to tear down dogs. I mean, the crap that dogs do in society, That's easy. That's, any fool can do that. Any fool can have a channel on YouTube for 6 years where they complain about dog attacks, and that's great. Those channels need to exist, but it's also screwing with us. It's giving us stress. It's screwing with our perspective. And so instead of taking the easy route of like just pointing out the stupid stuff about dogs, we got to look deeper. Like talk about politics, talk about parenting, talk about all the oxygen that dogs use and all the CO2 that dogs put out, and how that affects politics and decisions, and even the presidential vote is connected to dog culture. If you're not willing to talk about politics, if you're not willing to talk about artificial intelligence, and you just want to sit here and cry about dog attacks for years and years and years, you're going to be stuck in this cynicism, and it's not good for you. I'm not trying to rip on anybody. I'm actually sharing this because I value my humans, and I want people to see this.
It's much more difficult to present a case in favor of an idea. Most of us put our faith in people who don't put faith in people, but the science is clear. Cynics, as it turns out, do less well on cognitive tests and are worse lie detectors than more trusting people. Why? Cynics assume they already understand everyone, so don't pay attention to what people are really like.
Yeah, that's like, don't talk about politics. Don't talk about this on my YouTube channel because I already understand. I already know. Don't come here talking about this on my channel. That's actually the way that dog owners act. If dog owners that have a channel where they worship one of their dogs, and you come on there and talk to them about the dangers of that dog being around their toddler, that's them right there. I already understand. Don't talk about that. Don't you talk about that. And the cynic people, even though they think they're intellectual and they think they've discovered something that no one else has discovered, they're actually the dumb ones. The free thinker, the one that's willing to talk about other things and bring other people into the conversation, those people are actually more intelligent.
Cynics unthinkingly mistrust them. Cynicism also hurts our relationships, communities, economies, and society itself at nearly every level scientists can measure.
Yeah, so this isn't just, some little thing to not bother looking at. Just keep hating on dogs, just keep repeating the same cynicism. Like, we have to expand our view, otherwise we're just going to become a small group of dog haters. So like, look at this, humans are bad.
Dozens of studies demonstrate that cynics suffer more depression, drink more heavily, and even die younger than non cynics.
I've seen that in the community comments on dog culture critic channels. Like, I just hate things. I hate this. I'm thinking about just getting out of this. And in the live stream videos too, some people just get like talking super freaking crazy loud, getting all freaking irritated. I freaking hate this. It's like, yeah, that's depression and addiction to being crazy and over the top all the time. What's funny is those people are also the same ones that are very quick to call someone else that's a free thinker crazy or over the top when they're already crazy or over the top themselves.
In the 17th century, the philosopher Thomas Hobbes encapsulated cynicism in his book Leviathan. Hobbes argued that people need government to rein them in because, left to our own devices, human lives are nasty, brutish, and short. Ironically, Hobbes's words best describe cynics themselves. If cynicism was a pill, its warning label would be.
It's interesting what Thomas Hobbes said, because right now government supports dogs. Government mostly supports dog culture. If you hurt a dog, you're in big trouble. But if a dog hurts a toddler or something else, they just kind of brush it under. And so what Thomas Hobbes said is applicable to dog culture. It's applicable to literature, politics, and everything else.
Wrong and ominous. It'd be poison. So, why are more of us.
Yeah, like this family right here, they're just looking at pictures of dogs. Get a dog and you'll be healthy. Get a dog and you'll be healthy. Or they're watching a dog hater channel right here, and it's saying, don't you talk about politics. Don't you talk about this. Don't come to my channel talking about freaking this. And they're just sitting there like, yes, I hate dogs, or yes, I love dogs. And here's the guy, here's the free thinker guy. He's going up here. He's like, I want to look at other areas of the world. If I want to talk about things that don't directly apply to this channel right here, I want to go do that. And this is what we should be doing right here, what this guy is doing.
Wallowing it each year. The cynical genius illusion is one reason, but our culture also spreads two more myths about cynicism. Myth number one: cynicism is safe. Every act of trust is a social gamble. When we place our money, secrets, or well being in someone else's hands, they have power over us. Most people who trust will get burned at some point.
Yeah. This guy right here, this is the guy saying like, don't talk about politics. Don't do that. Make sure and use an AI voice and don't criticize an AI voice and do this and do that with your channel. They think that they're preventing some harm or suffering by not talking about certain stuff. Even though they're talking about death and dismemberment from dogs, they're going to say, well, don't talk about politics. Even though politics is highly connected to dog ownership. And then they think this guy over here is bad because he's actually being himself.
Those moments lodge themselves inside us, making us less likely to take a chance again. By never trusting, cynics never lose. They also never win. Refusing to trust anyone.
Yeah, they never win. I mean, that reminds me of some of the dog culture critic channels that are just on repeat with the same stuff. Every one of their videos makes a super great point about the negative externalities of dogs, but it's the same video on repeat from several years ago. They're not developing their ideas, they're not taking a risk and talking about some new and different stuff. They're not doing deep dive analysis. They're just sitting over there, oh, I gotta be safe and just do this because everyone else hates dogs the way I do, so I'll just do another video and get a bunch of views. That's the safe way.
One is like playing poker by folding every hand before it begins. Cynicism protects us from predators, but also shuts down opportunities for collaboration, community, and love.
Yeah. So that's a look at the cynical genius video. This has a lot to do with basically everything: politics, dog culture, anti dog culture. And at the end of the video, it explains how eventually the negativity is going to come crashing down and there's going to be, good news. Hopefully. But have a look at this video and let me know what you think. All the stuff I mentioned will be down in the description. And see you guys later.